This video is either going to get you really excited or really pissed off really fast. The truth is that Ethereum has been making waves, and honestly, a lot of the waves looked like they were deep, deep red because they were filled with blood as the price of Ethereum has gone down to the pit of nothingness, only to suck down every single poor ETH holder down into oblivion. Now, fair warning, I told you a couple months ago, is Ethereum dead? Yes. I still believe that Ethereum is kind of dead. I think it's more along the lines of like Princess Bride, where it's like mostly dead right now. And then soon after, I posted a video saying, well, I think Solana could take over Ethereum's spot. And it's interesting when we think about other current events and how the Trump administration has made a very friendly crypto task force. We have a crypto czar. We have all of this very bullish pro-crypto legislation happening at the state level, at the national, federal level in the United States, and yet everything is chopping sideways. But we are seeing some weird, strange coincidences, at least I am. And we're going to be looking at those news bits, those articles. I'm going to be sharing my observations and thoughts on that, as well as a lot of charting. And before I do, you know what you have to do. First, like the video. If you like this kind of content, leave a like. Secondly, leave a comment down below with what you've learned from this video. And if you haven't learned anything, that's okay. Why don't you instead tell me what you think I should have covered instead? I'm open to constructive criticism. That's fine. So the first thing I want to share is a very interesting tweet from Eric Trump, who is Donald Trump's son, one of his sons. And I don't know why I rolled my eyes, but it's just the truth. But he is also tied to World Liberty Financial. WLF has been a pro-crypto company that is run by the Trump family. And we're going to stop there. So he posted on February 4th, and I believe this is like post crash. In my opinion, it's a great time to add Ethereum. And then he edited the tweet because the last part said, "You can thank me later," which as the president's son, I feel like that's kind of, can you really say that? You can thank me later? But he edited the tweet, but still, it's really interesting. He also tweeted today, it feels like a great time to enter BTC at World Liberty Financial. Now, World Liberty Financial, I won't be able to pull up the tweet because I didn't prepare it, but they did move some funds around for business purposes, specifically to Coinbase, right as everything was dumping on Sunday/Monday. And it makes me think, were they really moving things around for business purposes? Were they actually selling hundreds of millions of cryptocurrency right at the start of the dump? Or were they really just moving things around? I don't know. But the main thing is that we know that World Liberty Financial has been buying a lot of Ethereum, a lot. And talking about Ethereum a lot. Yes, I know Trump coin was launched on Solana, and it honestly feels a little bit like a grift to launch a pump and dump token on Solana, take the profits, and then buy Ethereum with it on the Ethereum network. But I'll let you draw your own conclusions. But more interesting than that, Elon Musk proposed putting the US Treasury on blockchain for full spending transparency. Like him or hate him, I think this is a great idea because the beauty of the blockchain is that all transactions are public. When I send funds to Coinbase, those funds can be tracked and they're all visibly on the blockchain. This is actually a good idea. But what's interesting is that doing that requires the government to use a specific blockchain. Now, there are lots of US-made blockchains. Of course, there's Bitcoin, which has no nation state. But it also makes me scratch my head when I see a news article like this posted on February 4th. Again, keep in mind, February 4th, in my opinion, it's a great time to add Ethereum, says Eric Trump. And on the same day, we get this article, Ethereum increases the gas limit for the first time since proof of stake migration. What does this mean? I'm just going to sum it up right here. They're increasing it above 30 million with over 50% of validators indicating the change. The gas limit adjustment, which improves the network's transaction capacity, was implemented without a hard fork. The gas limit adjustment, which improves the network's transaction capacity. I don't know anything other than what my two eyes and what's in between those eyes, and sorry, not in between the eyes, but my brain is telling me. I'm just starting to connect the dots just a little bit. I'm looking at articles like this and announcements like this. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this. And I'm going, that's really interesting. And it's really interesting because we also see disparaging graphics like this one. Ethereum's supply has grown by 455,000 Ethereum since April 2024, returning to pre-London upgrade levels from 2021. I don't have to show you the memes to tell you how bearish the crypto community has been on Ethereum. It's been a joke. Ethereum has been one of the worst performing coins in the top 10, I want to say since October 2023. It's been a long time, and Ethereum has just underperformed. We even have Vitalik openly debating politically how Ethereum is doing things, and no, we're not going to do this. No, we're not going to do that. And at the same time, did anyone happen to notice him? I don't have to tweet. I wish I did. But someone posted a video of him twerking on the dance floor this past weekend. Now, he can do whatever he wants. It's the weekend. He's a free man. But I mean, again, seeing something like that, having the market crash, and then Ethereum gas limit increase. So I'm looking at all of this and I'm trying to make sense of it, especially with a chart that just looks so ugly. Ethereum is one of the worst charts in crypto right now. It is one of the most unattractive charts, namely because it is in a disgusting cursed range and has been really ever since the beginning of last year. While it did have a nice increase of 85%, which sounds amazing, if we compare that to XRP, if we compare that to Link, if we compare that to XLM, if we compare that to so many other coins that have had a massive, massive move, Ethereum is wildly unperforming, wildly backwards compared to everything else. And yet here I am making a video about it, and I'm scratching my head going, hold on a second. Hold on. Why, why are we seeing bad news come out all the time? People hating on Ethereum all the time, including yours truly. Yet we see stuff like this and this and this. Something is happening behind the scenes. That's the only explanation I can find, honestly. And when I see stuff like this, and I also recognize something that's extremely important that I want you to pay attention to right now. When the market, crypto Twitter, YouTubers, the market, the general collective crypto community is hating on a specific coin or token or loving a specific coin or token, pay attention. Crypto is largely driven by retail and also liquidations and stuff like that. But the reality is that when everyone loves a coin, that coin just continues to go up higher and higher. Anyone check on WIF lately? WIF, not even going to pull up the chart. Terrible. But there was a time where everyone was bullish on WIF and it kept going higher and higher and higher. Everyone had those cute little pink knitted hats on. No one has those knitted hats on anymore. Everyone hates it. Now, I'm not advocating for WIF, but Ethereum is a much, much, much longer hated meme just because, again, it's underperformed grossly over the last year and a couple of months. It's been really bad. So when I see all of this hate online, and I see all these memes, all these jokes about Ethereum, and they're not doing anything. They're not trying to. And I see bad news come out over and over again. And it's like, part of me is, it's not like I'm trying to root for the underdog, but part of me is going, if everyone hates it so much, is it really that bad? Is it really that broken? Is it really going to go down more and more? Again, I could be wrong. It could actually go a lot lower. But from a risk to reward perspective, looking at everything else and looking at Ethereum now, I'm going, maybe the Trump family has a secret up their sleeve. Maybe they're going to put the United States spending on the Ethereum blockchain. Maybe that's why they're increasing the gas limit. So that way they can increase all of the transaction fees that are going to happen. I don't want to think about what's going to do to the gas fees and transaction fees for when you're swapping on Ethereum. Well, that's why you have layer twos. But anyway, looking at the chart though, it's hard for me to go, oh, yay, I'm so excited about this chart. Because let's be real, we had a high up here at $4,000. Actually, let me just back up the train a little bit. There is clear overhead resistance, okay? It does not take fancy indicators. It does not take a private subscription to your Bahamian luxury favorite crypto YouTube trader retreat to figure out there's a top, done. $4,000. It's pretty easy to see that that is actually very strong resistance. Resistance meaning that the price, or rather the market has decided that's as high as it's going to go. Now, I'm not going to get into, is it market manipulation? Is it being suppressed on purpose? No, we're just looking at the chart and going, okay, well, this is what happened. We can also see that there is support. There's a support line here, 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 here. Now it's flipped to resistance here and here, and the price is magically kind of around that area right now. So we had a very clear break of support this week where Ethereum dropped in one day to some godforsaken number of like 26, 27% in a day. Major flash crash. But what's interesting about this flash crash is that it actually didn't go to, trust me, it went really low. It went too low, but it didn't break the low that we saw here on August 5th. Now, for all of you that missed the memo, August 5th, 2024, there was a Nikkei crash. And that crash had ripple effects all throughout the TradFi system and also in crypto. Bitcoin also plunged down to some crazy level. I forget. It doesn't matter anymore because it's now long history. But what's interesting is that after our massive panic crash, what I find really interesting about this is that it did close down. It did have a massive fat finger wick. Like that is insane. This looks like a low cap chart to me. But it closed up on the day, which is weird. It's really weird after being so heavily oversold. But that means that there's demand, right? And when I look at this going, well, it didn't break support. That's really interesting. Did I buy Ethereum down here? No, I bought lots of stuff in this general range when I released that video earlier this week. And I'm still sitting in profit. I'm not going to sell because I'm waiting to sell on the bounce, which I believe it's coming because the crash is over, in my opinion. But more importantly, just using simple logic and reasoning, we didn't break our real low from August 2024. It was a really big oversold event. The coin's been hated on purpose. It's been struggling to break above $4,000. This level right here really going to affect the outcome of Ethereum? To be honest, I think so. And to do that, we need to go on a couple of different timeframes. And yes, we are going to be looking at BTC as well. Now, first thing I want to do is go to the weekly timeframe. The weekly timeframe is a great place to start with an overview first. And the first thing we're going to do to keep things simple is that I want to just hide all this stuff. So we're just paying attention to the candles and first paying attention to volume. Now, this indicator is a free volume indicator. And you notice it's gray. I don't buy into the whole red and green stuff for volume. Volume is just showing demand. It's showing buying and selling. This is the TBT based to quote currency converter. You can get this for free on TradingView and add it. And it's really helpful to figure out, or rather to convert how much Bitcoin is being bought and sold to 251 according to this glorious price of $20,000. It tells you how much USDT is actually being bought and sold. That's way more important for us as traders because we need to know, for one, how much is being bought and sold. So that way I know I don't flood the order books with my orders, right? I want to make sure I'm playing inside of the order book. The main thing I want to show you is that despite all of the bearish selling that we've been seeing, what I'm noticing right here is that you can clearly see that Ethereum's volume, weekly volume, has been drastically increasing ever since the election pump back in November. Now, it did not exceed highs that we saw back at the, then cycle high at March 2024. That was probably that mid-cycle high. But we're still seeing enough that this yellow moving average is starting to curl up and pick up. That's interesting to me, similarly to what we saw back over here. Now, I need you to understand as well that we will not see the type of demand that we saw for Ethereum back over here in 2020 and 2021 ever again. Many charts that have these parabolic moves that go absolutely bananas, where there's hyper demand for them. I mean, keep in mind, Ethereum was down at $90 on the March or the COVID crash, and it went all the way up here, pulling a 47x, 4,700%. We're not going to see a rally like that for Ethereum ever again. I don't care who's buying. I don't care what they're doing. It's not realistic. But what I want you to pay attention to is the volume increasing. When we start to see volume increasing and it's moving up, or rather the moving average is starting to reflect the bullishness of this, I pay attention. I don't care if it's not going to pull another 4,700% increase. It's not going to, but I pay attention to when volume starts to increase, and it has been consistently. That's the first thing I want to share with you. The second thing that's really interesting is RSI. Now, you should know that I like RSI a lot. RSI is one of the easiest to understand indicators because it's the relative strength index. When values are super high, it's super overbought. When they're super low, it's super oversold. And the reality is that, yes, we've seen for a long time that Ethereum on the weekly time frame has been in a massive downtrend ever since over here. And price action is matching RSI. There is weak demand for this. There is no strength in this chart whatsoever. But I just can't shake this weird feeling that something is happening behind the scenes. And when we start to go a little bit more zoomed in on the daily time frame, and we do the same thing, paying attention to volume first and looking at how much volume is increased, particularly on our big crash on, for me, Monday the 3rd, for a lot of you, it was Sunday the 2nd. But when I see a demanded volume like this, buying or selling, doesn't matter because it's all volume, that's interesting. When I see that RSI actually had a reset on, to zoom in, here on Wednesday the 5th, that's interesting. It's also interesting as well because every time we've seen an RSI reset, and I should first define that, shouldn't I? It'd be really helpful. An RSI reset is when daily RSI, specifically daily, but it could work on the weekly, but it works best on the daily. When RSI falls below our oversold level, which is 25, and then it crosses up. It's not when it crosses down, it's when it crosses up. It's this part that I'm interested in. It's not the going down, it's the coming up out of this level. And what's really interesting about this is that we actually have some pretty amazing bounces that we've seen from this. I'm going to minimize this window just a little bit to show you. We had an RSI reset event back over here in July 2024. And after this reset happened, we saw Ethereum move up about 18% over the course of, I think, about 15 days, 13 days. Yes, the price went down. I'm not focused on that right yet, okay? But trust me, I'm not blind. I see that. We have another RSI reset right here, this one in August after the Nikkei crash. We see it close up and it goes up about 20%. Okay, here's another one dipping down below. It does say 24, so it goes below 25, crosses up right here. And then we see a pretty significant rally up to the top over here, basically an increase of 80%. Now, this is an outlier. If I was to be more genuine about this, I would say this is a better representation. So it's about another 20% bounce, but it did really continue all the way up there. Note that this right here is not an RSI reset because we did not cross that threshold of 25. You get me so far? So we could kind of cheat and say that, but no, it's not fair. And again, that happens to be about 15% or so. Interesting. We also have another RSI reset right here. So this RSI reset that happened just barely going 24.68 on December the 22nd, 2024, resulted in approximately like 14% move up for Ethereum. So we're looking at 14% over here, 20% over here, 20% over here, 17%. So the median range is about 17, but let's just go on the small side. Let's go on like just a 14% increase with this idea that when we get an RSI reset on the daily time frame for Ethereum, we've seen about 17, 14, whatever, 20%, but let's go on the low side, 14%. What's interesting is that we just had one of these. When we had the crash, we had RSI reset below our oversold level at 25, crossing up yesterday as of the filming of this video. And that actually is really interesting because it means that even if we see a 14% increase, that means that Ethereum goes up to $3,189. And if we go back over here to this chart, thinking about price action, right? Oh, it's not going to be there. It's going to be right here. We had this. I said that there was significant support / resistance at this level. But if we're going to see it move up back into the middle, well, that's pretty significant. I think it's really interesting to say the least. But it gets better because it's not just an RSI reset. It's the fact that RSI has been pushed and shoved all the way back down to fully reset, seeing consistently lower highs over and over. And this is also making me think maybe a reversal is actually in the works for Ethereum. Now, it is grossly too early. And it's also like there's a lot of crazy stuff that's happening too with price. So please understand that I'm not saying it's going to happen today, this week, but with everything that I'm seeing, there are just lots of weird and interesting signs. Now, there is some unfortunate information that we also need to be transparent about too. Actually, I'm going to go to the weekly time frame to do this. Oh, I don't have it, of course. So I need to switch this. Now, we have long-term support over here, from here to here. I'm being generous because if I was going to be real, I would do it here. And to be honest, Ethereum has broken support so many times, it's ugly. But we're going to take this low just to be generous. We've still seen many, many pierces and tests on support. Just a couple of weeks of piercing above, kind of a test, but really, it really should fall to the downside. However, this is a bullish wedge because we came up from the downside. Now, again, I'm not going to apply a flagpole to this because I think that's silly. I don't think it's going to go up that high, to be honest. But as far as it being at a very attractive price point, yeah, over here at $2,200, $2,500, it was. Right now, I still think it has a decent upside potential because even just at the top of this range, it's a 36% increase, going up to its all-time high, 72% or so. And we haven't even seen it break its previous all-time high set over here in November 2021. So that's making me think, but what about short term? Let's go back to the daily. What's really interesting about the short term, again, is this level of $3,000 seems to be holding as this psychological level of support. So we have 3,000 and we also have this level here at 28. Now, the reason why I say 3,000 is mostly because it's a round number and typically the market sells or buys or places bids or asks buying and selling around round numbers. But notice that the price of Ethereum didn't go quite to $2,000. It was still a lot further to go, but it did bounce. Now, if I were a betting man, which I apparently am because I'm a trader to a degree, I would be looking at this going, this is a really oversold chart. It would make more sense to not short Ethereum down here, in my opinion, but I've put my money where my mouth is. I'll show you later, and I've been buying it. And I actually expect Ethereum to go up, not just to 3,000, not just up here, but to actually break above. I have a sneaking suspicion that something is not being fully shared by World Liberty Financial, by the powers that be in the White House yet. Also, look at this. Ridiculous. TBO support literally called the bottom right there. But the thing is that Ethereum has suffered a long time. It's not a pretty chart. And a worse looking chart is Ethereum BTC. FBTC is one of the most disgusting charts I've ever seen in my life. And it also is a good example of why Bitcoin is such an amazing store of value in crypto, because Bitcoin keeps ripping while everything else keeps dipping against it. And it's not just FBTC. Yes, there will be outliers that do really well against BTC, like Ohm BTC looks incredible, but that's because Ohm has been on a major tear for months, if not almost over a year. Ethereum has not put in new all-time highs. And I mean, frankly, this is December 2021? This is literally the all-time high of the market. And we've seen it fall down as much as 73%. The reason why Ethereum BTC looks like this is because Ethereum is chopping while Bitcoin is pumping. There's no demand for it. And it's very risky to use your Bitcoin to buy Ethereum. But what's more interesting to me is the fact that weekly RSI has started to make a really, really interesting shape. I don't think shape's the right thing, but a really interesting pattern. And if you didn't know it already, we're actually already 24 minutes, almost 25 minutes into this video. And if you haven't hit the like button, slap yourself. Slap the slap the like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I have more that I want to share with you. The video is nowhere close to being done. This is a deep dive. I told you at the beginning. So if you haven't liked the video yet, shame on you. Shame on you. Don't feel shameful. Just hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and do me a favor. Okay, awesome. Let's go. What is really interesting about this, about RSI, is that the relative strength index, the weekly chart for BTC, notice anything interesting here? We have this massive, massive high, May 2021 at 91. And then we see lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. It's actually shrinking back down because it's performing so poorly against Bitcoin. What I think is the most interesting, though, is after our market had our bull market. Here we go. Here's bottom-ish. Well, really for this trading pair, September 2019, but really the bottom was over here, December 2018. But we had this bottom up here, not paying attention to this market, paying attention to our current cycle right here. We had a cycle low on RSI at 14.21, June 2022. This was the bottom for many charts, even though Bitcoin did bottom in November 2022 after the FTX collapse. Pay attention. We have a low here, and then we have another low, but it's actually slightly higher, 15.28. Pay attention to the numbers right there. We have a higher low, and this one actually moved up higher since I last charted this. What this is called right here, by the way, this is my own fancy invention, I'm pretty sure. It's called a support fan. If it's on the bottom, if it's on the top, it's a resistance fan. But this is just interesting because we can clearly see slightly higher lows. And that means that while Ethereum BTC is being pummeled over and over again, it's not breaking this bullish structure. Now, is it fair to call this chart bullish? No, it's not. This is a terrible chart. They should be ashamed for even allowing this chart on Binance. It's bad. But when I see a chart falling like this on the weekly, and then I see higher lows on RSI on the weekly time frame, I start to scratch my head and go, that's weird. I start to look at the valuation of Ethereum against BTC, and I think, if this happens to be the bottom for FBTC, then there's a lot of upside potential, possible 2x. Not as good as some other coins, of course, but it is interesting. And then we start to go to the daily time frame, and then I'm reminded why I hate this coin so much. Because it's been in an utter downfall for years. Yes, we will have moments where it has a glorious pop and it shoots up 54%. Oh, everyone's so happy. And then it falls. We see a small moment in time. Oh, everyone's so happy. And then it falls down. The macro trend for this chart, do not get me wrong, is ultra bearish. Ultra bearish. Even for ETH, just against USDT. It's a bearish chart, guys. Please hear me. It's very bearish. But at its current valuation, with a lot of things happening right now, it's making me scratch my head and go, It's making me look at posts like this and go, Now, I told you before, I put my money where my mouth is. I bought, regrettably not on the dip, but I bought after the dip. I bought some Ethereum with some BTC. My position is only nominally up about 2% over here on alt trading. And I bought lots of other coins here. I bought Mantle with BTC and actually took profit on the way up. This is what you're supposed to do as a trader if you're actually trading. If you're just buying and holding, cool. But why would I buy Mantle BTC? Why am I buying ETH BTC? Why did I use BTC to buy Solana, XRP, or Litecoin? That's a great question. I'm so glad you didn't ask, and I'm going to answer it anyway. The reason why is because I want to grow my Bitcoin stack. I know that this video is primarily focusing on Ethereum, but at the same time, I want to grow my Bitcoin because when looking at the FBTC chart on the weekly time frame, everything is just sagging lower than a 90-year-old woman's you-know-whats. So I need you to understand here that I'm not saying this is the dip, buy Ethereum now. But I am saying that there are a lot of very interesting coincidences happening right now with Ethereum, with things happening with the powers that be at the upper level. And I'm looking at everything going, could this actually be a really good entry? And like I said, I am buying Ethereum with BTC. Now, I will also be 100% transparent that I do believe that there will be other asymmetrically better bets than using your Bitcoin to buy Ethereum. Right now, that's what I'm doing. I am so curious to read your comments and to see what all of you think. Now, before you start to freak out and panic buy Ethereum, just understand that there's still a lot of roadmap left in this bull market. And my guess is that a lot of you were surprised by the dip that we saw this past weekend on Sunday/Monday, with Ethereum plummeting all the way down to like $2,100 from $3,000 like a week ago. And the reality is that a lot of you need to learn how to leverage a DCA strategy, which you saw me share on my screen with all trading. Now, what I'm going to recommend is, even though this is a long video, I have a longer video that I want you to watch after this one. And this one's going to be focusing on how to get rich, how to walk away from this bull market with way more than you put into it. It's a long video, but that's because it's a masterclass. Take notes, watch the video, bookmark it, share with friends. And again, let me know what you think of this video down below. Until the next time, you know what to do. Stay awesome and stay in the green. Peace.